Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gregory Peck.
The world never seems as fresh and wonderful, as comforting and terrifying, as good and evil, as it does when seen through the eyes of a child. For a writer to capture that feeling is remarkable, and perhaps that is why one book in the last few years has been so warmly embraced by tens of millions of people. To Kill a Mockingbird, winner of the Pulitzer Prize and just about every other award a book can win. And now, happily, To Kill a Mockingbird becomes a motion picture, and its memorable characters come vividly alive. That Scout. Some people call her Jean Louise Finch, but she insists on Scout. And that's her brother, Jim. Just a boy until the day he learns there is evil in the world. And Atticus Finch, the father, whose devotion to justice places him and his children in jeopardy. I've been appointed to defend Tom Robinson. Now that he's been charged, that's what I intend to do.
You taking his
You'll excuse me, Mr. Ewell.
What kind of man are you? You got children of your own?
Atticus, Jim says this watch is going to belong to him someday.
That's right.
What are you going to give me?
There's a pearl necklace. There's a ring that belonged to your mother. You want to tell us what really happened?
I got something to say. And if you ain't gonna do nothing about it, then you're just a bunch of lousy, yellow, stinking cowards!
Alright guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema. I'm your host Jimbo, and today joined once again by
Kyle Zahner.
Kyle Zahner. Welcome to the crib. Today we are going to be talking about a heavy movie. It is considered the number 34 greatest movie of all time, but this movie covers a lot of, there's racism, there's mentions of rape, there's animal cruelty, there's disabilities, people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of stuff in this movie.
A wide range of serious and heavy topics.
Yeah, it is. This movie, it's not for the faint of heart, but it is a good movie.
Yes.
So Kyle, and of course we were talking about the great To Kill a Mockingbird, starring Gregory Peck. So Kyle, before we get in, I'll give you this easy question this week, since this is such a heavy movie to talk about. What is your favorite courtroom movie?
Courtroom movie.
Jury Duty does not count with Pauly Shore, okay?
Yeah, going to the clear other end of the tone spectrum, and seriousness of probably Liar Liar, Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I would say probably 12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men, also, yeah, excellent movie as well. Yeah.
That's the kind of same movie vibe I get from this movie.
Yeah,
although this is my first time watching this movie, so when it started, I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, I believe I actually watched this in school once. Yeah.
Wow.
I guess I had a pretty progressive thinking English teacher who was willing to risk it with the students. But I'm pretty sure I watched How to Kill a Mockingbird for the first time in school, and I've probably seen it at least one more time after that too, just my regular life, and then of course for this last 2 weeks. So.
And so, just to clear this out of the way, there is some use of some words in this film that we do not agree with.
Derogatory racial slurs, just
Yes.
as expected for the subject matter and the time period.
Right. So just if you go to watch this, just be leery and cautious of some of the stuff you will hear, some of the mannerisms you'll hear. Like we say at the beginning in our disclaimer, it's different time, different era. So that stuff is not acceptable on my account, Kyle's account. Shouldn't be on anybody's account.
Yeah.
So, but we wanted to make that clear because this is a heavy movie, but it is so... Gregory Peck, as Atticus Finch, plays such a great human being in this movie that you can't help but love the guy.
Yeah.
And I might try to find his acceptance speech because he won an Oscar for this movie. I might try to put that in at the end of this session. So, be on the lookout for it. But he is just like humble. You know what I mean? Like, just perfect. So, I could start rattling about this for a while, but Kyle, let's just go ahead and start talking about To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay, To Kill a Mockingbird. Released actually various dates and times, but first released in 1962. How to Kill a Mockingbird had a budget of just $2 million in 1962, and the equivalent of about $18.5 million today. And opening weekend it only made about $357,000, so a very not a big opening weekend. And gross worldwide was $599,000, which would be equivalent to about $5.5 million today. So not an incredible amount of money, but it definitely just not a huge box office smash. But also because of the seriousness of this film, it's kind of hard to get families in to see it necessarily, as you might understand. Brief plot summary, just in case anyone who hasn't seen it itself. A small town, Alabama, 1932. Atticus Finch, played by Gregory Peck, is a lawyer and a widower. He has 2 young children, Jim and Scout. Atticus Finch is currently defending Tom Robinson, a black man accused of raping a white woman. Meanwhile, Jim and Scout are intrigued by their neighbors, the Radleys, and the mysterious, seldom-seen Boo Radley in particular. And that's some brief stuff on the technical details here. We have runtime of 129 minutes. Pretty long film considering, especially for the era of 1962, how many films are going for the whole over 2 hours limits. Color info, this is a black and white film. Aspect ratio, this is 1.85 by 1. And sound mix is mono from Westrex audio recording system. Next up, we have the excellent section of awards. First up, we have a very recent award for the 2021 Online and Film and Television Association Awards, where it won the Film Hall of Fame Award to get nominated for historical preservation and all that kind of stuff. And it also won the very same award all the way back in 2003 as well. Next up, we have the 1999 PGA Awards for Hall of Fame Motion Picture, also being posted in the National Film Registry in 1995. Then we have the Academy Awards, where it won Oscar for Best Art Direction, Set Decoration, and for a black and white film. It also won Best Writing for a screenplay based on material from another medium. That was awarded to Horton Foote, who was not present for the award story, and Alan J. Pakula, the film's producer, accepted the award on his behalf. It also won the award for Best Actor in a Leading Role to Gregory Peck, as Jimbo mentioned earlier. Next up, we have the Cannes Film Festival, where it won the Gary Cooper Award. I'm familiar with the Gary Cooper Award, one of my parents was. Next up, we have the David D. Donatello Awards, awarded for Best Foreign Actor to Gregory Peck. So I guess David D. Donatello is a non-American award. Next up, we have the Golden Globes Award, where it won the Best Film Promoting International Understanding. Best Actor awarded to Gregory Peck, and Best Original Score awarded to Elmer Bernstein. Next up, we have the 1963 Laurel Awards, where it won the Golden Laura for Top General Entertainment. Then lastly, we have the Writers Guild of America Award, where it won the Best Written American Drama relating to Horton Foote. Then, moving on to the cast of How to Kill a Mockingbird, we of course have Gregory Peck. It's a serious film, but I can't help my pronunciations from being funny.
And the worst thing is it's an easier name to do than
Gregory Peck plays Atticus Finch, who was in such films as Roman Holiday in 1953, The Omen in 1976, Cape Fear in 1962, Moby Dick in 1956, and The Bravados in 1958. Next up, we have Philip Alford playing Jim Finch. He was also in the film we covered earlier in the past year, Shenandoah in 1965. And also he was in Earl Hammer Storyteller in 2015. Then we have John Megna playing Dill Harris. Such movies who appeared in such films as Go Tell the Spartans in 1978, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble in 1976, and The Ratting Game in 1984. Next up, we have Brock Peters playing Tom Robinson. He was in such films as Soylent Green in 1973, The McMasters in 1970, The Pawnbroker in 1964, and Ace High in 1968. Then we also have Robert Duvall playing Boo Radley. He was in such films, of course, as The Apostle in 1997, and Apocalypse Now in 1979, The Godfather in 1972, and his last film was The Judge in 2014. Next up, we have Rosemary Murphy playing Maudie Atkinson. She was in such films as Eleanor and Franklin in 1976, Dust in 2001, and Afterlife in 2009. Then lastly, for my casting here, we have Mary Badham playing Scout Finch. She was in such films as Let's Kill Uncle in 1966. This is the Property is Condemned in 1966, and Dr. Kildare in 1963. That is the cast of How to Kill a Mockingbird. Yay. Jimbo, take it away from me.
To take it away from you.
Give me a second, I gotta breathe.
We're going to start going through this movie. This movie was based on a book written by Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird. Mm-hmm. A lot of people from her life are what she portrayed in the book. So she says that the only real person that was based on somebody totally true was Dill, and that was based on Truman Capote, which we'll get to here in a little bit in the notes. So, book by Harper Lee, which has now since been banned in some schools due to some of the language in there. So, just if you're going to read it, make sure you understand that too. So, Mary Badham, who played Scout, which that girl got on my nerves. And then one thing about this movie too is the son and daughter of Atticus Finch. They call him Atticus. They don't call him dad, father, anything. And the Dill, I think, says, "Why do you call your father Atticus?" And the boy says, "Well, the entire town does it. I figured we might as well too." So I was like, well, so it's like kind of no respect for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't understand how respectable his father actually is. They just don't understand that from the beginning. And also, I think it's granted, Lee Harper did it in their original book, but also it's interesting for the film to tell the story from largely the kid's perspective intentionally.
I think it's all narrated by Scout.
By Scout, yeah. It's narrated by Scout, right? Yeah, narrating her childhood and how she viewed her father. But also, like, it for the film, that gives a layer of kind of innocence to it, of serious problems through an innocent child's lens, and seeing the problems that way and not having the baggage of their own internal racism was like that attached to it, because like it's kind of like, a kid doesn't understand those kind of things, of those degrees of hate or how cruel the world can be. And so to him to see for both those children to kind of see some of the absurdities in their own county and their own town, firsthand. And
there's a lot of play on they're poor, you know what I mean, like those two kids were entitled because their dad was a lawyer, I guess, making pretty good money. Their mother has died. You can tell at the end when they show the house that there's a portrait of a lady above the fireplace. We won't get to that part yet, but that's their mom. It's like the kids were entitled because they lived probably on the good side of town, and there's not only different races, there's also different levels of economic value here, because she beats up they bring that one kid in to have a dinner with them, remember? Because she gets in a fight at school almost every day. And he said that
they give him basically a regular meal, what would be considered a regular meal now, of like regular ham and
it's like roast beef and stuff.
Yeah, roast beef, bread, and all those kind of things. And he says like we've been eating squirrels and rabbits a lot recently. And this is a film that takes place in the 1930s after the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl and those kind of things like that. And this is an Alabama town of largely farmers who were impacted the hardest during that period of time.
Right.
So it's like no one's doing particularly well. Even Atticus as the town lawyer, like he's making do, he's okay, but he's by no means rich.
Now, did it ever say at the beginning of the film when that guy comes and brings the walnuts or whatever it is in that sack, does it ever say, because he says it was for some legal work that your dad had done for me?
Yeah.
So that tells you what kind of man Atticus is. He doesn't just care about the money. Hey, give me whatever you got. I'll help you through it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But not only do you have that aspect of it, then a couple houses down, you have this old dilapidated house where they say there's a crazy person that lives in there. He gets chained up during the day, and he only gets to come out at night. Which, when you first start watching this movie, I didn't know where we were going. You got these two bratty kids. I call them bratty, but you got these two kids that think they're entitled. But the more you pay attention, it captivates you. I couldn't look away. I was watching this at 2 o'clock to like 4:30 this morning. Yeah. So it's fresh on my mind. And we'll get to some of the other stuff in here too. So Gregory Peck and Mary Badham, let's get back to where I was in my notes. They came really close during filming, and they kept in contact for the rest of his life. Peck always called her Scout, and Badham always called Peck Atticus.
Oh,
so
that's
they
adorable.
kept that thing the
Going
entire
through the entire life. Yeah,
right.
And what a name too, Atticus. What a name.
Yeah.
Grant, it is unusual for the kids to call their father, instead of dad, call him Atticus, but still, his name was Atticus. That's so cool.
So, Kyle, when you come home, I want you to say, "What's up, Atticus?"
What's up, Atticus?
What he says before
How you doing, Atticus?
Before you get thrown across the room, probably. Which I thought was also funny because it touches on the girl. She gets in a fight again. She said, "Atticus told me if I ever got in a fight again that he was going to tan my eyes." Yeah. He comes over.
I forgot that rule.
She's just sitting on the steps, just in tears. You know what I mean? She knows it's coming, and then this is where he has taken on the role of defending
Tom Robinson.
And one of the kids at school said something and used one of those derogatory terms that your daddy defends. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "So I had to beat him up." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So I'm not going to go into. I'll leave that as it is. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of sub stories and emotions going on through this whole entire.
And they're
film.
all intermingled in a way, and it's and Atticus himself struggles to explain to his children the position that he's kind of not. Because he's taking this call to duty to defend Tom Robinson, that puts his kids in a very difficult position. That's hard for them to understand. Granted, being in such a racist county and being the one man defending a black person in this neighborhood, obviously puts you in a bad light. And then and then the community's taking it out on your kids. It's gonna be very difficult. And it's also difficult to explain to a child how racist this community is, while still being in a community that, you have that delicate kind of. There's no good words about it, but it's still if it's a community that you've grown up in and you know people in, then you want to say the good side of everyone and all the humanity, stuff like that. But at the same time, it can also be an incredibly racist and bad town for that kind of reason. So you have that kind of dilemma of these are people here that I truly care about, but they do these incredibly horrible things to minorities, basically like that. And it's hard to kind of balance out those two things where you don't want to you feel it feels wrong to morally condemn all of them and tell them that they're bad people and that you just forget about them all. But you also can't say that I love them and care about them and I understand how much they care about me, because the bad things they're willing to do to people they don't understand. So it is a difficult thing to you can't explain that to a child.
Right.
You just can't. That's too complicated. That's just really annoying. It's hard to explain it to a child. Not impossible necessarily, but just difficult.
Right.
So it's hard. I'm getting off the topic and going on a tangent.
And, if you've ever seen any clips of this, maybe like on the top 100 movies on TV or something, they show a little clip. You'll see the courtroom scene. But that is probably doesn't even come into play till probably 2/3 of the movie in. So you have all these other stories there. Because I thought, this is going to be a trial, kind of like 12 Angry Men, where it's a jury trial, and all that. But no, that just plays a minor role in a broader scope of this whole entire situation. So, as I was talking about, if you've seen that courtroom thing where Gregory Peck gets up there and the trial's coming to a close and he's giving his closing arguments, basically a summation speech, would run 6 minutes and 30 seconds. He did that entire thing in one take. He nailed it in one take. 6 minutes. That means no coughing, sneezing, stuttering. Just, it's captivating what he did there.
Yeah. Jimbo told me this fact earlier today, and I was actually appalled. I was shocked, that any director or cinematography would be content with having that one shot, even though it is a great shot.
Because there was how many, 200 people in that room, if not more.
Yeah, easily that many people in that room. So you got to make sure none of the extras are doing something that takes them out of the scene, anything like that. And then also, of course, the actor himself giving his best performance possible during that scene, and then having all that stuff and okay, I guess we're done for the day. In a more modern production now, that'd be a thing you would spend days upon that one scene to get it right in the first place. And so it only take one scene. It's what do you do with the rest of your time? In my production's I guess we're all going home early today because we just knocked out the entire thing we scheduled out a week for.
Right. Brock Peters, who played Tom Robinson in this film, delivered Gregory Peck's eulogy on the date of his funeral and burial, Monday, June 16, 2003. So this just goes to show you what kind of person Gregory Peck was. He obviously made connections with people because he kept. I think his grandson's named after Harper Lee, and then you have the scout becoming friends with him, and now you have the guy he defended at the trial, giving his eulogy in his real life death. So. You don't just do that for anybody.
Yeah. And go show, Gregory Peck. Keep mispronouncing his name. I don't know why, but Gregory Peck is an excellent person. Atticus Finch. I don't remember the actual name of the real life lawyer he was inspired from.
We'll get there. That was actually, I believe it was Harper Lee's dad. I got him in the notes.
That's he was inspired by for the original written story. Yeah, his Harper Lee's father. I know that much, but he has a bit more of a mixed history in terms of racial relations, I'll say.
Right. This is the official credited film debut of Robert Duvall, who actually had no dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
And I did not know that was him.
No, you do not recognize him like that.
You will not recognize him.
Yeah. When I think of Robert Duvall, I think a man that was probably born old until you see this movie. He's got that Morgan Freeman or Jack Nicholson look where it's he was never young. He was always that old.
Right. After being offered the role of Atticus Finch, Gregory Peck quickly read Harper Lee's novel in one sitting and called director Robert Mulligan immediately afterwards to say that he would gladly play it. Kyle, when's the last time you read one book in one sitting? That wasn't a comic book.
I don't know that I ever have.
There you have it.
Comic book's included.
Wow. Oh, man.
Knock out 5 pages. I'll do this tomorrow. I need to read more.
Brock Peters, Tom Robinson, started to cry while filming his testifying scenes without rehearsing this way. And Gregory Peck said that he had to look past him instead of looking him in the eye to avoid choking up himself. So, yeah. That was a touching scene. Robert Duvall stayed out of the sun for 6 weeks and dyed his hair blonde for the role of Arthur Boo Radley, who, according to the story, spent much of his life as a recluse. The character of Radley is based in part of Harper Lee's recollection of Alfred's son Bulwer, who lived with his parents in a dilapidated, mostly boarded-up house just a few doors away from the Lee house. His father kept him confined to the house after young Alfred was involved in an incident of vandalism. Described in the book and in the movie as leaving the house only at night because the sun hurt his eyes. That might suggest that Boo Radley suffered from albinism, which is a lack of pigment in the skin, in the hair, and in the irises of the eyes. Mm-hmm. But she did look like an albino in this.
That would make sense. Albinism would make sense. I didn't think about that initial watch.
I didn't either.
Yeah. But it is clear in his character work that he has some mental deficiency of some degree, and that's why he's largely get defined just to avoid the risk of having an incident with him later on. But also not a bad person anyway, which is in the film.
The watch used in this film was a prop, but Harper Lee gave Gregory Peck her father's watch after the film was completed because he reminded her so much of him.
Aww.
So
it's adorable.
He's just making all kinds of connections.
Yeah.
Atticus Finch was modeled on Harper Lee's own father, Amasa A.C. Lee, an attorney in Alabama state legislator whose 1923 defense of a black client partially inspired the novel's Trial. Like Amasa Lee, the character of Atticus Finch was not only an attorney but also a state legislator and a widowed single father. Gregory Peck met with Amasa Lee, then 82 years old, and formed a strong bond with him. Unfortunately, Lee died while the movie was filming, so Harper gave Peck his watch and chain, as we stated. Peck was also wearing the same watch and chain at the Academy Awards ceremony the following year when he won the Oscar for Best Actor. Mm-hmm. Gregory Peck's grandson, Harper Peck Vole, was named after Harper Lee, which I knew was in here somewhere.
Yeah, and I looked into the original lawyer's history a little bit, and there was some stuff where he doesn't strike me like Atticus. Actually, seems like as a character depicted, seems as me as a progressive man, kind of like relatively wealthy for his community and also privileged to not be racist, and has a sense of privilege, and that allows him to be not racist or some degree. The real life attorney also has a little more associations with more racist people, unfortunately, and also defended also opposed an anti-lynch bill for the federal law. So he had a bit more of a mixed history of he definitely he wanted to make sure justice and the law was being maintained, but I don't see him as a particularly progressive ally necessarily in that kind of history itself. So it's a bit unfortunate.
Right. Well,
it's really come a long way since then. It's inspired a great story, obviously.
But if you have two dual things like that, you can defend somebody, but if you're in legislation, it might be totally different. You know what I mean? There might be rules and laws that you want passed or not passed, and then an attorney, you're doing your job based upon the evidence.
Yeah, those kind of things get complicated. I'm not going to say about there's he does have mixed history, so I don't feel I wouldn't feel comfortable saying he was bad or particularly good in either way of the spectrum of that, but he was just a man of that time.
Director Robert Mulligan learned quickly, don't do numerous takes when you have children on the set, because the cast members became less natural and spontaneous after the first take.
That's true. I totally see the logic of that. In 1962, I don't know what kind of also English, there's also labor laws restrictions having kids nowadays. I know, so it may have similar laws back in the day too. I don't remember in the 60s, obviously, but
Philip Alford told his mother that he did not want to go to the auditions for the part of Jim Finch, but when his mother told him he would miss half a day of school, he immediately decided to go. Well, I know I got to
totally
go.
Fine then, obviously, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Atticus Finch was voted as the #1 screen hero of the last 100 years by American Film Institute in a special 100 years, 100 movies, 100 heroes, 100 villains. The character Dill was based on Truman Capote, which I mentioned, who had been a childhood friend of Harper Lee when he was sent to live with relatives in Lee's hometown each summer. Capote, or Capote, whatever you want to say, in turn based one of his characters in his literary work, Other Voices, Other Rooms, upon his recollection of Harper Lee. So he paid it back by writing a book about her. So in his book. The courthouse that was copied for this film still stands in Monroeville, Alabama, and is now a museum dedicated to the book, this movie, and the life of Nellie Harper Lee and the people represented in this work. Road trip, Kyle.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Yeah, right now.
And that's it.
Keep recording. No, we'll just get in the car. We'll go.
We'll just record it as we drive. Road trip. Philip Alford had trouble eating certain foods for years afterwards, particularly bacon and eggs, as they had to eat their breakfasts repeatedly until they got the scenes right.
Ooh.
Man.
I remember a recent news story now. It was the Suicide One movie directed by James Gunn. John Cena wanted to eat. There was an eating scene. John Cena insisted on trying to eat an entire chicken tender in one bite. And they took 30 takes of that scene, and he did it every time. So by the 30th take, there's this picture of just an absolutely miserable John Cena just looking why'd I do this? Why'd I do this? Just cramming an entire chicken tender in his face every time.
It's probably a deleted scene, too.
I want to see that so bad. Just every single take, and just to see his gradual degradation. Sorry, go ahead.
The piano in Elmer Bernstein's score was played by John Williams. James Earl Jones auditioned for the role of Tom Robinson.
Oh, wow. Huh. He's like, obviously I can see that, but also it's such a unique thing to think like the actor potentially getting his beginning there or something like that. Yeah.
With the death of Rosemary Murphy, who played Maudie Atkinson on July 5th, 2014, Robert Duvall is the film's last surviving adult cast member.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And how old is he now?
Robert Duvall, I believe, 92, I believe. Yeah. So. Yeah.
The exterior streetscape of the courthouse on the Universal backlot would later be reused with some minor to major modification as what, Kyle, do you know?
No, I do not.
As the clock tower in the Back to the Future trilogy.
Oh, I read this. Yeah, I should have known that. I blinked.
They used that
set got a lot of mileage in the whole...
a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Because we just talked about it in another movie, not the Gremlins.
Yeah, it was also... There was aspects of it in Gremlins, so yeah. It was the movie theater from Gremlins. Yeah, that's right.
Cast members Mary Badlam, or Scout, Boo, Hecate, Malaya, and Mr. Gilmore all appeared on The Twilight Zone in 1959 television series. So you might hear from me and ADZ soon. Some of those people that played.
If not already covered now.
Yeah.
How far have you guys gotten through The Twilight Zone?
We're through season 1. We're getting ready to start recording season 2. So
okay. Yeah.
Coming up soon.
Excellent stuff. Stuff to look forward to.
In both manner and appearance, Arthur Boo Radley is nearly identical to Carl, Billy Bob Thornton in Sling Blade, 1996. Duvall played Carl's father in Sling Blade.
That's an unintentional sequel moment if you think about it that way. So that's
unintentional. So you're saying that Boo reproduced is what?
Boo reproduced and made Sling Blade. It's
Judge Taylor.
Weird chronology of this. It's like this kind of films are kind of like gathered together in a weird way.
Judge Taylor does not customarily thank the jurors for the service as is customary.
Okay, so minor courtroom error.
But if you, I was paying close attention to the judge, and then there's a guy that's like next to the judge, and he's over there just picking his fingernails. They're so uninterested. The verdict's you already know. What the verdict's everybody's so uninterested.
They established very quickly that this is full Alabama right now, and that gives it a lot of negative connotations, unfortunately, in that history. Yeah.
Dill claims that he won $5 in the Beautiful Child contest and went to the picture show 20 times with it. This confirms that the cost of a theater ticket in the early 30s was 25 cents. And the movie that was playing in 1931, I believe.
1931?
Dracula. So he might have seen Dracula 30 times.
30 times, yeah.
The little alley where Atticus spends the night guarding Tom Robinson in jail sits just left of the movie theater on the Universal Courthouse backlot, which can be seen showing... in Orgy American Style in 1885 and Cattle Queen of Montana in the 1955 scenes from Back to the Future. So we get more mileage out of that theater.
All the time, yeah. I'm someone like has it been ever like actually full on reconstructed or something like that or tore down? I don't even know. I have to look up the history of just that one set and see what
do a whole show on the history of that
one set and see, the Universal lot and see what kind of how far it came along. Yeah.
When Mayella Ewell is sworn in during the trial of Tom Robinson, if you look closely, you can see that she does not actually place her hand on the Bible. Instead, she lets it hover just above as she knows that the testimony she was about to give accusing Tom of assault was false. Nice.
The little thing.
So Kyle, explain to me when Atticus Finch says... about his father saying he got a gun and shooting birds.
And shooting birds, why not kill a mockingbird?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I believe his explanation was that mockingbirds are... it would feel unfortunate to think he was also using as symbology of black people during the time, because everything. But you see, like mockingbirds, basically they don't, they're not a pest in any kind of way. They don't like nest in farms stuff like that, causing pestilence and kind of like that. And all they do is make music, and they spread joy to the world and everyone around him.
Because he said,
so it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
He said you can shoot as many blue jays as you want.
Yeah.
Remember? So I looked it up. So. In this story of innocence destroyed by evil, the mockingbird comes to represent the ideal of innocence. Thus, to kill a mockingbird is to destroy innocence. Mockingbirds don't do one thing but make music for us to enjoy, but sing their hearts out to us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird.
Yeah, and so I would say, like, I don't think it works. I think it'd be problematic if the Mockingjay was just representative of Atticus' view of all black people. But as representative of Tom Robinson specifically, it does work, because Tom Robinson is just a kind and selfless person, as presented in the story, who's unfortunately been accused of a crime he did not commit, and then is unfortunately murdered for it, basically. Mm-hmm. So that is that's essentially kind of like, the Mockingbird is Tom Robinson when Atticus kind of tells that story to a degree.
To Kill a Mockingbird has taught us about bravery, injustice, inequality, poverty, racism, corruption, hatred, oppression, and how we should judge people by their character and nothing else. How the people we are scared of are often not very frightening at all, and how those we view as superior or in charge are sometimes the difference. So when you watch this movie, during the court scenes, it's very obviously that Tom did not kill, rape or beat up. Assault, yes. Sorry if I said murder earlier. Because, number one, his left hand, he has no use of his left hand because it got caught in a cotton gin or something, and he lost everything out. He
tore
can't use
the muscles in his hand, basically a completely useless body part. That
so there's that. I believe that he's right-handed because he throws something at him. Atticus Finch throws something, he catches it. The dad
is a known alcoholic and a southpaw.
yes, and you see that by him having him. He asked him to write his name down on this piece of paper. He said, "Can you write?" He's like, "Of course I can write." He said, "Then write your name down." And he takes his left hand and he writes his name down on this paper, which you never hear anything about that. Mm-hmm. So to me, I've already made up my mind that this guy is guilty. So the jury goes to deliberate. They come back in 2 hours, I think, which means they may have put up a fight, or they may have just been in there to say, "Hey, we got to take time because we already know the outcome." So they come out and they all rise and says, "Tom Robinson, we find you guilty of the accused," or whatever. And the judge is like, "Okay, well, you're dismissed," and he walks out the door or whatever. So one of the most powerful scenes, and I do believe this is what Gregory Peck believes won him the Oscar, is that when he's packing up his stuff, there's nobody else on the ground room floor because at the ground room court floor, the white people are on the bottom and the African Americans are above on a balcony level, with Peck's children are up there.
Yep.
So as he's walking away, they all stand up in the balcony, and Scout is still kneeling down, looking in the banisters, and the pastor, I believe, says, "Girl, you need to stand up." He said, "Your daddy's about to walk by," which I think was a sign of respect to him. And it's just so. Now that we have a guilty verdict, and he tells Tom, he said, "Look, I'm going to appeal this. I'll go up from here, and we'll go to the house, and I'll tell Helen, I think was her name, his wife." So he gets home, and his kids are having a rough time with it. Jim's over there on the porch, and next thing you see is the policeman pull up. The sheriff, whatever he is.
I believe, yeah. Or the mayor.
And he says, "Can I talk to you a minute?" So the lady goes over and has a nice conversation with Jim, and you see the policeman roll away, and you see Gregory Peck. He just looks devastated, and he says Tom is dead, and they were transferring him from one place to somewhere further away for safety reasons.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Albany or something.
And he says that he broke loose and started running, and the deputy was aiming to wound, he said, but it basically shot and killed him. So he decides, he takes upon himself, this is the kind of town you're in. This is the kind of man Atticus is. He says, "I will go up to see Helen, and I will tell her. So he gets his car. The little boy wants to go with him. So he gets in the car, and he goes up there, and he gets out, and Tom's dad is there, and there's a whole bunch of people at the front porch, and Helen's inside laying down. And his dad said, well, Mr. Finch, you know, what do you think of the appeal or whatever? He said, well, there ain't going to be an appeal no more. Tom's dead. And this is where my emotions got to me, is when Helen comes out the door, and she just looks at him, and he's looking at her, and he takes his hat off, and then she just collapses to the ground, you know.
Yeah.
And they get her inside. Man, it's such a powerful moment in this movie. It just got to me. And then you have the drunk guy. I can't think of his name. The guy that is actually
the guy who actually committed the crime.
Right.
Yeah.
He comes up and he says, "You tell him to come out here." So Atticus come out here. So Atticus comes out, and if this would have been me, this would have went down differently, because he comes right face to face with him. And that guy spits on Atticus, dude, right on the face. And you could tell Atticus was about to do something. But instead, what does he do? He just reaches down into his pocket, pulls out a handkerchief, and he just wipes the spit off his face, puts it in his pocket, and then he gets in his car, walks by him, gets in his car, and drives away. So I don't know how much time has passed between this. It's got to be a little bit, I think.
Some period of time, because obviously a holiday event happens during the town.
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Right.
Halloween happens.
And Scout's going to be in this play or whatever, and she is going as a ham. Now, you got to see it to believe it, because I was like, oh, we just went through this trial. What is the world is this? Mm-hmm. So, another funny thing is they go in there and the show's over, and they come out. And she said, "Come on." Jim's like, "Come on, I'm not waiting all day. I'm leaving." She said, she comes out, and she's still in the ham costume. And you're like, what in the world's going on? He said, "Well, leave it to you to lose your dress and your shoes." She said, "I didn't lose it. I just don't know where it's at." Or something, you know,
the little details there. Yeah.
So here's something I didn't understand. So they're walking through the woods. They're walking through the woods to get home. Everything you've seen in this movie, it was pretty much on the main road, except when they snuck over to the neighbor's house, remember?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that was all about. So they're walking through, and Jim says, "I hear something following us. I hear something in the thing." So they keep walking, and every time they stop, it stops. So this is where, next thing you know, somebody grabs Jim around the neck from behind. Jim's fine. He tells Scout to run, and basically Jim gets thrown down to the ground, pretty much unconscious, and the other one goes after, and this person goes after the ham, which is Scout. And next thing you know, there's a scuffle. You don't see anything. You just see like two people fighting, somebody trying to reach for Scout, and then there's a thing going on. Mm-hmm. And
I believe it's actually Walter Cunningham is the name of the actual the guy.
Okay,
the bad guy.
So then you see Scout basically crawls out of her ham suit, and she sees somebody carrying Jim back to the house, and you're like, what is going on? And she's running. Here she is, barefoot in her pajamas, I guess we'll call them.
Basically, yeah.
And she gets in there, and what's her name? I can't think of the name of their the lady that lives with them.
Oh, the house.
Yeah. Well, she says
it's a
she is Estelle Evans. Yeah. Great actress too.
Yeah. Calpurnia? Yeah.
So he says, "Hey, call the doctor." So they call the doctor, and this is a very touching scene too, because Jim's laying in the bed, and Atticus is in there. You know, the sheriff comes over. He calls the sheriff, and the sheriff comes over. He says, "I think he'll be fine, but somebody's coming after my kids." And this is where they ask Scout, "Hey, did you see any of this? What happened?" She said, "I didn't see anything." She's like, "But, you know, there was somebody attacked Jim, then somebody was attacking me, and then it stopped. And I seen somebody carrying Jim back to the house." And she's like, "Well, who was it?" She's like, "I don't know, but you can ask him. He's standing right there." And he's standing behind the door, and I was like, oh, man, how did you not see him come in? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he's standing there behind the door. And it turns out to be the
boy across the
mentally challenged
Boo Radley.
Boo Radley. And the way this was going, I thought Boo Radley was going to be an African American person, just the way it was set up at the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean? And because you've never seen anything about it. And I thought, what another way to And I thought it would have been okay to do that too, is to show, thank you for your help or whatever.
Yeah.
But and it was weird because then the sheriff and Atticus is talking, and they're like, "Look, this guy's dead. We know who killed him, but as far as I'm concerned, he fell on his own knife." You know what I mean? They're not gonna basically justice was served in its own way.
In its own way, yeah, because neither one of them is upset about the death of Walter Cunningham, because he was an evil person, absolutely awful person, and then of course, getting Boo Radley involved to officially have to be confronted for having to defend that kid's life and all kind of stuff. That makes him either a town hero or a villain in some people's eyes, and
he might be more vilified than what he is right now.
Exactly, and that just increases the visibility on his life and all kind of stuff in a way that would be detrimental to him. There's no way that more attention would not help Boo Radley in that era at all.
And we don't know if he could even communicate with them because he doesn't say a single word.
Yeah, the entire
now when the sheriff and Atticus goes out, the girl's in there with Boo, and she says, "You can pet him if you want to. He's asleep right now. He's out, but just don't do it when he's awake." So Robert Duvall leans over and he pets his hair, which is weird. And then Scout and Boo go out. She grabs his hand, and they go out hand to hand, and they sit on the swing. Because if you notice throughout the whole entire movie, there's always a swing on the front porch of the house that's dilapidated where he lives. So I don't know if he goes out there and swings all the time. Maybe. So they're sitting there, and that's where they come up with that plan. So, and then basically the movie ends. A powerful movie, all-inspiring movie. But Kyle, I'll let you go first and tell me what you think.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent film. Incredible for its era, especially. Even tackling that kind of subject matter in 1962 can be seen as rather controversial. And similarly, when we covered the movie In the Heat of the Night, there's still lessons there that are still need to be learned today to a degree, and a lot of painful truths that still need to be confronted and dealt with. This film does a very adequate job of covering those issues and giving a kind of a clear view of what's morally right and morally wrong. I will say I think there's sometimes the problematic view that only kind of a white and more privileged of us have the ability to look beyond race, and that people that are in a lower class or just say the more off color term, but white trash basically, are incapable of being sympathetic towards people of other races or people they don't understand, which I think is patently absurd. And I think this film maybe does a bit of a job of reinforcing that stereotype to some degree, which I think is unfortunate. But that's not an intentional mistake by any degree, so it wasn't intentionally done. But I do think this is a powerful film that does a lot to depict how cruel the world can be, and also what we need to look for in the future. And that still stays true today to some degree. We've certainly come a long way in some respects, but not nearly far enough in many others. So excellent. I think it's an excellent film that stands on its own, and also a good lesson for a lot of people to see. So overall, I think it's a great film. It's absolutely it's a must-watch if you're a cinema fan to any degree. I think it's an important film, and I encourage anyone to watch it. Jimbo, how do you feel?
Man, it was this is my first viewing. I've seen the courtroom scene several times, but man, when you start this movie, you're like, what am I watching? To me, I was like, well, where are we going with this? Because I had read the synopsis, and I was like, this has nothing to do with the courtroom scene. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the kids get on your nerves at times, but you got to think that they've lost their mom at some point in their life. You don't know when, you don't know how. Mm-hmm. So maybe Scout, that's why she was always like a tomboy, because if you remember, she dressed up in a dress one day to go back to school, and
he absolutely hated it. It was her first day to school, actually, yeah.
And they were and her brother was making fun of her. So she may not have that mothering nurture nature, to teach her that stuff, even though they have somebody that lives with them to help take care of some of that stuff. Gregory Peck just absolutely killed this movie.
Yeah,
you watch him, and every scene he was in, he's just captivates your attention. So well spoken. Every situation he's in,
he plays it with a perfect, quiet dignity that very few actors could do at all. In past, present, future, it's incredibly difficult to play a role that kind of sincerely righteous, and he does it. He made it look effortless.
Oh,
which
yeah.
would it takes a whole lot more effort to make it look like you had anything but, So Gregory Peck absolutely deserves all the credit he received for this role of doing an excellent job playing
There was some pretty cool shadows and lighting in this movie too. If you remember when they go to look in the window and you see on the shadow coming on the wall of the side of the house.
Yeah,
pretty well done. Remind me of Nosferatu when he was coming up the stairs.
Yeah, this is an excellent. They had a smaller budget and also a tool set much more limited than we have now for a lot of things. These are definitely filmmakers who, like, if they were here today, they'd be making excellent films with the technology they had and doing cool things with it versus today. Like, they were using everything they had back then to its maximum capability. Do
you think this should ever be remade?
No and yes. You can. I don't see the need to. That's the thing where it's like, I don't necessarily think it should. Should it be remade? No, necessarily. But, like, it can be remade. It's not something I'm against being tackled again. Obviously, it's still a serious subject matter, and it's a more difficult era to make that kind of film too. Because like any depiction at all at this point, kind of reinforces bad years. I mean, we had films like now, like 12 Years a Slave or other movies of similar kind of aspects of it, where it's like, you can acknowledge that racism is there, but how does it serve modern sensibilities or modern efforts to further equality by just depicting black people being mistreated again? There's kind of like it's kind of played like a joke on some online media now, but there's like, all corporations, we're celebrating Black History Month this February, and then the depiction of every single is like a black person being treated by a slave or brutalized by the police or something like that, and it doesn't actually celebrate any triumph in black history, nothing like that. And unfortunately focuses on all the ways they were mistreated throughout history, and I think that eventually becomes a negative stereotype where it's just like, you don't see anything that black people can do to be successful, but all you do is just see how white people hurt them, and that's not fair to a black race. That's not the whole story about what black people have achieved in their lives or what people of color or other minorities have achieved. It shouldn't be showing like how we mistreated them all the time. It should be about how they are great people in their own right and need to be treated with that kind of respect. So that's where I kind of feel about it.
If they did remake it, I'd like it to be a shot-for-shot exact remake, because it would be hard to do the kids today because kids don't even know how to go outside now. You know what I mean? I would like to see a shot-for-shot remake. I think they did that with Psycho, even though it was terrible. But I think
in this case, it could work for you think?
I think it would work. But then again, you're going to have to get through all the censorships and all that, so I don't know how it would be perceived. But then, and then who are you going to get to play somebody like Gregory Peck? I don't think there is anybody right now that could
Myers,
do it. Yeah, Michael Myers, yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying, I don't think there is. I couldn't think of somebody that I think that could handle that role and do it with the justice that would need to be done, the way that Gregory Peck handled it.
I couldn't imagine doing a shot-for-shot remake like that, just because of that reason. Like, you can't have it Gregory Peck. You can't have Gregory
Will you get his name right once before we end this podcast?
Gregory Peck. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Words are hard.
Just be like in Willow where he's like, Peck.
Yeah, Gregory Peck is a great actor, and so like that's the kind of reason you can't remake that film and have it be shot-for-shot, because you can't remake the way he played that role. You just can't do that. I don't think any actor really could. And if they did, it's like it invites an unfair comparison, because like everyone's gonna fall short of Gregory Peck. So you have to do it differently. You have to play a man who might be even closer to more of the middle of the road man that the real life attorney was based on. The real life character was based on. Maybe someone who's a little more middle of the road and has a bit more of a challenge, even defending a black person on the sake of justice and not on the sake of equality. Looking forward to it, and that adds a bit more of a gray area to it, where like even the people defending you aren't the best people in the world, and to have that kind of nuance of grayness in the way of just like it was a slow, difficult battle to continue to get this kind of level of equality we have now and hopefully improve into the future. It's been a very slow process, and you have to recognize how slow that is if you ever want to increase the speed of it. It's not just like, it's not one man who is incredibly aggressive for his time that sets the world to a better space. It's everyone together learning to be better to each other, and that's the overall goal and motivation for a lot of society. It's not just like, you can have the most aggressive person in the world, but if no one listens to them, society is still going to stay the same. So I think that's something that'd be more interesting to challenge in like a remake or something like that in a film, I would say, personally. But that's kind of maybe you.
Well, there you have it. What a deep film that we just discovered.
And I'll say also, we came with this kind of a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of caution, because like even talking about the subject matter, you feel like there's a lot of potential pitfalls of like you could say something that's really inappropriate and not realize it. Mm-hmm. So we tried to handle this as carefully as possibly. If we did say anything wrong, absolutely we're sorry for that. But also it's like it's there's a lot of difficult subjects about that, because it is like every person who's mistreated in this film is still mistreated to some degree today, and it's easy to fall into some of the regular things that people do that continue to reinforce negative stereotypes or any kind of other reoccurring aspect of negative portrayals, and it's difficult to avoid all of those.
Right. So I would put this up there like 12 Angry Men. I had it when we did the podcast on that, and I was watching it, researching it upstairs. I had it on, and my son stopped and my wife stopped, and they just started watching, and it's just guys sitting around a jury room. The whole film, except for like the beginning and the end, they are in a jury room for like 2 hours of the movie or hour and a half, whatever. And I was talking to my son the other day, and I said, Cameron, what's the best movie you've ever seen? And he told me, he said, 12 Angry Men. And that makes me proud, because maybe he's actually learning something. Maybe I did something right somewhere along the way. Mm-hmm. That, and I would put this right up there with that. It is a great movie. It's just stuff to be learned from a movie like this is great. So, but if we keep talking, we could sit here and talk about this movie for hours, probably
all day. Yeah,
yeah. So
because the subject matter affects everything. It's all
Kyle
life.
is sleep deprived, so I was really worried how this was going to go.
You're sleep deprived too. To be honest.
I am really. I've only got like an hour and a half sleep before recording this, so probably crash as soon as Kyle leaves. Mm-hmm. But if you want to join us on our Facebook group, it is the Tragedy of Cinema podcast group on Facebook. Kyle is starting TikTok, hopefully sometime.
Yes,
he keeps saying it.
Any day now. Just stop reminding me every 3 months, Jimbo. It's annoying.
If you want to check out our merchandise, it's on Redbubble. There's an app, or you can just go to redbubble.com and just search the Tragedy of Cinema. You'll see merchandise, the old merchandise, the new merchandise, the Twilight Zone merchandise. It's all on there. So if you get something off there, just take a picture and post it on the Facebook site, and
we'll love you for it. It'll be great.
Yeah. I'll love you for it.
And in general, in the off chance this is your first podcast, let you know, we usually cover a lot more lighthearted subject matter, or not really usually, but we also cover lighthearted subject matter where we joke and have fun.
Right. So we got a couple. This next round of about 8 movies, we took a lot from the top 100, so you're going to see like King Kong's coming up, and I think Chinatown, and some other stuff like that. But we're also going to throw in one for the ladies. We're going to do Pretty Woman. So
a classic.
Yeah, we're going to see how Kyle feels
one for the
about
ladies and for Kyle.
Pretty Woman. So
Fat Face classic.
We'll see how this goes. So there's we're going to do like Close Encounters of the Third Kind's one. Just several of the classics that I haven't either never seen or I haven't saw them in forever, and I don't remember what happened. So, well, I think, Kyle, this has been a great episode. I think it's coming to an end. You got anything to add?
Racism is bad.
Well, there you have it. That pretty much sums it up. So,
yeah.
With that being said, this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut.